to sit on the stage, I guess you do whatever you want. But if I could see you, if you were even willing to come even into this 2 areas here, that would be helpful for my line of sight. Glad to have you here. Just so you know, we have an incentive for participation later on. I'll be looking for a native speaker of Modern Mom, and if you raise your hand and you're willing to help me, I'm doing an interview. Okay, not yet. But this bag that I purchased at the Phoenix Zoo yesterday, completely unused, never had a grocery in it. I didn't put my dirty socks in it or anything. It was tempting because I had some laundry, but I didn't do it. It's a fresh, nice bag with a beautiful giraffe, and they do have beautiful giraffes there. If you have time to go to the zoo, man, it's a great zoo. This is session 2. I'm Pastor Doug Kringle. My full title is Reverend Dr. Douglas Kringle, but just call me Doug, please. My PhD is in organizational leadership, and you're at Learning to Speak Modern Mom as a Missional Language. I'm from the Family of Faith Lutheran Church in Houston, Texas, and Cypress, Texas. And if you lived in Houston, that would make sense to you. You have a 2-location church, and we'll explain that in a moment. This is February 17th, right? It's 3 o'clock, and this is our session. So if you're online with us, God bless you. We're glad to have you. If you're here in person, God bless you. This is our first time. I did get my big 1 sticker like some of you people. I'm a little jealous. I need to get one of those. This is the first time we've ever been to Phoenix, myself, and all the people on my staff. This is the first time we've ever been here. So thank you for your patience with us. Yeah, good to have you. We'd like to open with a word of prayer. So if you're newly here, if you would just join me as we open our session, bringing it before the Lord. We make our beginning in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Lord in heaven, you have given your gospel in languages throughout the world, hundreds and hundreds of language, Swahili, Greek, Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, so many different languages. What about Modern Mom? Lord, we need to know how to speak this language so we can proclaim your gospel vigorously through our ministries today. We know, Lord, that you have empowered Mom with her calling. Her calling as a mother is a vocation that you have bestowed upon her. And we ask, Lord, that we could partner with her in her calling, especially that calling to share the good news of Jesus Christ with her children, with her husband, with her neighbor. And we pray, Lord, we could partner in doing that. Thank you for this time to celebrate this language, and help us, Lord, to learn this language a little bit better as we gather today. We pray it in Christ. Amen. Good to have you. Thank you so much for being here with us. We want to start, if you would give your attention to this first slide. I want you to seriously focus in on this Vroom commercial. I was not paid by Vroom to play their commercial. I'm playing their commercial completely free. I did not get any kickbacks for this. This is a commercial. I want you to look at it, listening for the behind the scenes. Okay, I'm not looking for you to go to Vroom. I'm asking you to listen to it from the viewpoint of learning how to speak Modern Mom. If the tech booth would be so helpful as to push play, that'd be great. Let's take a look.
Excuse me, I'm looking for a low mileage SUV with a V8. Excuse me, do you have any V8 SUVs, bro?
Bro, I've got a sick SUV back here. Has your name all over it.
Never be ignored at a dealership again.
V8. Yep, nice.
Buy your car entirely online on vroom.com.
Isn't that awesome? That is, they learned how to speak Modern Mom. Let's just take a look at that. What did they do? What did they do in that video that helped communicate with Modern Mom? What did they not? They kind of made fun, didn't they, of the circumstance that we find ourselves in. All the salesmen on the floor are guys. What else do we see? The customer was a woman. Maybe a young mom, we don't know, but a younger lady. The customer adopts, what persona does she take on in order to be heard? She takes a male puppet. I love puppets. And she takes this puppet, and the puppet is speaking bro culture language, right? She's trying to get enough attention to she has money to spend. The male persona appears, the bro culture, the successful salesperson is not a man. The successful salesperson was a woman, pretty much her same age, who got it. And then she delivers the product in a very effective and efficient way that mom could appreciate. Did you see any of that in there? Any other things that come to mind? Okay, please send them to me if you see something, or if you have another commercial. Pastor Doug at thefamilyoffaith.org or Pastor Doug at tfof.org. I'd love to collect these samples of where you find a successful communicating of modern mom. Where would they have learned about this? I would suggest to you 20 years ago, this book, The $1 Trillion Mom, was one source. About 20 years ago, at the turn of the millennium, we started seeing in the marketing world, marketing to targeted audiences, specifically modern mom. Mom is $1 trillion mom. What is the largest Lutheran educational outreach in the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod? Early Childhood Center. No, Vacation Bible School is not true. It is the Early Childhood Center predominantly. Look at the statistics. It's the largest Lutheran branch of education, larger than the Concordia University system, larger than the high schools, larger than the elementary school. And we need this language when we're talking to mom. I agree with you, ma'am, about VBS. We need this language for VBS. We need this language for Lutheran schools. We need it a lot of places. I would suggest we need it in our churches. We learn a lot of languages at seminary, great languages. Greek, Hebrew, can't get your degree without those. Maybe a little Latin, a little German, all that's great. But we need this one too. Where did Vroom get this? Let's just look at one quotation from the book. The most successful strategies will communicate with moms in a way that clearly tells them that you understand them and are relevant to their life stages, lifestyles, and generations. That's a challenge to the church. There are no pastors in our Lutheran Church Missouri Synod who has this language. I'm not a native speaker. I'm going to get through this material and get you to native speakers as fast as I can. I will never be a native speaker. No pastor in the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod will ever be a native speaker of modern mom. That's a huge communication gap. We learn about this also in this strategic book, this book about spiritual marketplace. And we read, because religious organizations tend to be patriarchal in structure and ideology, women have long had their own separate spheres of female institutional development. So we are a patriarchal church. This is the front cover of the January version of Lutheran Witness, which celebrates the patriarchy. And I'm not here today to really take on that topic. I'd be glad to talk to you after about it. But that's not the topic. The topic's not, do we need a patriarchy in our church? It's about what's in our community. And the fact is, go talk to your local family lawyer. When mom sues for divorce, who gets the kids? Mom. 9 out of 10 times, maybe more. How many moms never marry? So there's not a dad, and he has no legal custody. This could happen too. If you want to deal with children, and I certainly do, and our church does, we're called the Family of Faith. We love children, and I think that's true of the whole Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. There's been some very powerful discussion at the Concordia Theological Quarterly and other places, Pastor Gieshen and others talking about we need the love children. And we are, but we need to learn a language to make that more clear. So here we have the quote from the editor. So also the world has denigrated men and rejected the good and godly patriarchy. Our culture mocks and ridicules fathers as objects of scorn. Again, not our topic. Our topic is in the community, the people who are looking for churches, schools, preschools are often, not always, but often mom. She's the lead person who engages the conversation. She's the one who wants a partner. In our community, we're a suburb of Houston, a very fast-growing suburb. Mom has a lot more than early childhood she wants. There's a new house, there's a new school, there's a whole 20-year plan she has in her mind. And I'll take all the help you can give me on the microphone. There's a gremlin in the room, I was told. And if I need to take the handheld and use it, you just shout from the back. Is this idea of talking the language of motherhood new to the church? It is not. Have you heard of the Virgin Mary? A man named Martin Luther, this is taken from Luther's house in Wittenberg at the 500th anniversary of the Lutheran Reformation, where I was privileged to take the tour with my son, He runs a company called The Very and Beyond, which is a tour company in German. He lives in Germany, he practices his business in Germany, and we took this tour. And in the highlighted version, I can't read it on my notes, but here it says, however, he, that's Luther, continues to show deep respect for the Mother of God throughout his entire life. So we don't pray to Mary, but if you're Lutheran and you're confessional Lutheran, then you have a high view of Mary. And Mary is an example of the Bible speaking in the language of motherhood. The mother of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, an intimate part of the incarnation story, and a central figure in the telling of the gospel of Jesus Christ. This is where the Bible, I didn't make this stuff up, that's what the Bible teaches. This may be a little more made up. This statue is not Mary. This statue is St. Anna. The saint's most important attribute is a book, notice here, which reminds us that she had taught her daughter how to read. The sculpture was probably part of an altar. This is a picture from Weimar that I took during my tour for the 500th anniversary of the Lutheran Reformation. Who can tell me? Martin Luther, the story goes, he had a big lightning storm. He was trying to go back to law school, and he falls down in the storm, and he prays to A, Jesus Christ, B, the Virgin Mary, C, St. Anne. St. Anne is correct. St. Anne was important. They actually named an entire city after St. Anne called Annaberg, and that's where my wife's family comes from. She is into education. This is an example of the ancient church, at least 500 years ago in the Middle Ages, speaking modern, well, mom, not modern mom. The idea of the church presenting themselves through the language of mom is not new, and specifically in education. Who was Anne teaching how to read? Her daughter. Isn't that beautiful? And I hope we don't forget those important lessons. It's not just in those more ancient churches. This is St. John's Lutheran Church in Forest Park, just outside of Chicago, just real close to Concordia University, Chicago. They have beautiful stained glass windows. This is the church I was baptized in, and the church where my mother was buried. And you can see this windows tell the story of Jesus, and right around Jesus is Mary. Again, it's not just the ancient Lutheran church, it's the Lutheran church today that is celebrating the language of mom in its stained glass, at least, if it's not giving it a verbosity, if it's not sharing the word. I'm not sure we always talk about. Here is a picture of a stained glass window from an inner city church that we're doing mission work in, a beautiful Lutheran church of long standing. And again, there's the Virgin Mary, also Anna receiving the Christ child in the temple, right? Beautiful things. So how the situation is, we want to be able to, as churches, as a patriarchal church, as a church that has all men pastors, and most of the time it's men elders, how do we speak effectively outside the church? And outside the church, the families are what's called matrifocal. They're focused on mother. They're mom-centered families. And so we have a disconnect, and that's why we want to learn to talk modern mom. Social theory says it's possible. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I do have a whole PhD dissertation that speaks about it. I have written some material that you can find online. I've placed my articles online, abbreviating my dissertation and other things, so you can hear more about this. But social identity theory, similarity attraction paradigm, homophily effect, and the social categorization theory help us understand that that gap can be overcome. We can have good communication. It can happen. It's not impossible. We read, it appeared that deep-level similarities is more important for team effectiveness, team enroll performance, and team satisfaction than surface-level similarity. That is just one quote from some of that research. And what does that mean? Here's two different ways of looking at human beings. You can look at each other by age, sex, race, ethnicity, physical features, and overt demographic characteristics, which is how most people look at each other very quickly. That's that whole, let's look at someone, swipe left, and okay, that type of person. But that's not how we're going to overcome any of the communication challenges we have when we have dissimilar demography, when we're different. How are we going to get a church united and on passion for the gospel of Jesus Christ when we're so different from each other? And the answer is over here, in deep level similarity. That's the things about people you don't see, and that is very important. Personality, values, attitude, comfort, personality characteristics. I did not add, but should add, the saving faith in Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior from sin. The gospel of Jesus Christ is the most powerful tool for deep level similarity to be achieved. And if we can do that, then moms and dads, a patriarchal church and a matriarchal community can communicate. So in an effective communication between the patriarchal and the matriarchal community, we see these two big clumps: physical communication and virtual communication. And we're going to spend the rest of our time fleshing that out. You've heard enough from me. I am not a native speaker. I want you to listen mostly to native speakers. So we've prepared interviews of native speakers of the modern mom missional language for you to listen to. If you're a person who's fidgety, or you drank too much coffee this morning, or just coming down off a sugar high because you had a lot of ice cream for lunch, just breathe with me, relax. It's going to take about 8 minutes of your time. Just breathe. This is not a commercial. It's going to be longer than the room. And take in. This is why these are the people I want you to hear, not me. These are the native speakers. This is whom we're going to learn from. Okay, so we're going to listen in two big chunks. We're going to have a video piece right away on this physical communication. And that was just me trying to explain what's in the building. You know, how do you take care of a building? What do people see? The interactions. And then the virtual communication. So we're going to have two videos on that. Joey Lazat put this one together for us, and I thank him. Right now, if the tech booth would help us by playing that video.
Hi everyone, Pastor Doug from the Family of Faith Lutheran Church here in Houston, Texas and Cypress, Texas. We have two locations, two worship ministry settings, including our early child education care at both locations. And we want to learn to speak a special language. Now at the seminary, they had us learn Greek and Hebrew so we could read the Bible in its original text. That's very helpful for sure. But today the language that surrounds us here at the Family of Faith is the language of modern mom. We have two experts with us today on modern mom.
Hi, my name is Valerie Byerly, and I have two boys, a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I am currently the administrative assistant for Family of Faith.
Thank you so much, Valerie. And
I'm Vivian Mueller. I am the Director of Business Operations here at the Family of Faith, and I have two sons. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old.
In here with us, and we want to break down the topic of modern mom into two big chunks. One being communicating with things that are not electronic, and two, communicating with things that are social media, websites, and the like. So let's start with things that are not electronic. What kind of things, Valerie, would be of help to communicating with mom in this more face-to-face, hands-on type of world?
The mixers for the parents, the jingle and mingle that we recently had, any type of family-oriented events that we can have, I think will benefit.
Having children's church here at the church is a great way to organically meet preschool events that have integrated with the church, like our fundraisers, family dance night. Those are great ways for all the parents to get to know each other a little bit more.
The lighting, is it dark, is it bright, what does my surrounding look like, is it clean, are there other families there? I look at if I am being greeted right away, other people that look like me.
All right. Well, I think that last one was really important. You're looking for other people like you in the environment being a welcoming environment.
It's immediate when you walk in. You'll know from how bright it is, the colors of the walls. Is it warm and welcoming? Do you have a spot for young children to go to? Are there other moms there? Are there children there? Also, how you are being greeted, too.
If a mother, let's just say she's pregnant and she already has children, I think it would benefit the church if there was a special parking spot for expecting mothers.
Having the room for children to go to during service, just having that space. Here we have a nice one with toys, books, a changing table.
Hi everybody, my name is Emily Whitehead. I'm the site director here at the Family of Faith Preschool. I'm also a mom though of a beautiful little girl named Ellie, and she's 6 years old. I think the physical aspect of just being welcomed by the members, it's scary going into a new church family, but as soon as you walk in and you're greeted, and my daughter is greeted, that's something that's extremely important to me. I believe that physically speaking to people is a huge positive for me.
Direct face-to-face communication is not as it used to be 30, 40 years ago.
Right, exactly.
It has a whole nother higher level of impact, and there's a preparation for it that comes with some form of social anxiety. I'm just wondering if maybe all this COVID stuff.
For the past 2 years, we've been used to being cramped up and, hidden in our houses because of COVID, especially as a parent. I'm terrified for my child to get sick from anything, let alone COVID. And so for us to be able to actually step out of our comfort zones and be physically present, that's a huge deal. Putting your child in preschool is something that is a big deal, and it's scary, especially for first-time moms like me. So speaking to them, making eye contact when they walk in as a parent is something that actually goes above and beyond that people don't realize is a big deal.
When you come into a space, is there any specific provision that you're looking for? Like here we have a quiet play space in the back, so if mom had a child who didn't want to go to children's church and did want to stay with her, but she wanted to be in church but not disturb too many people, she could go there, or dad could go there. There's a changing table. There's a special area for moms who are nursing.
The first time that I was shown that room when I started my job here was that room. I was impressed. I was like, oh my goodness, a lot of places don't have this.
How the bathrooms are, the cleanliness of the facility. Some of these things, I'd be blind to. I don't look in the restroom for a changing table. I notice there are more of those, but those kind of details, are those important for churches?
Oh, yes. In fact, the small details mean a lot. I mean, they can be something as minor as a changing table, but and even, for example, having a changing table in the men's bathroom for
right.
single fathers. That's something that is that's the new norm. So I think just the tiny little details like that adds up to one big good investment.
My name is Amber Robbins, and I have 2 children, Olivia and Gabriel. Olivia is 8 years old, and she's in 2nd grade, and Gabriel is 6 years old in kindergarten. You all showed me the cry room that I could actually nurse my son while I was watching the service, and that was a really big part of joining the church because it was comfortable, and I didn't have to have my kids be super quiet in the service if we needed to escape a little bit.
We had a space, we call it the quiet play area, and it used to be a closet. We didn't have this space. We redid the whole structure and turned this closet space into a nice space for families that have young children in their care.
Going into a church as a young couple, we kind of look for other young couples. So that's kind of hard because you have to have young couples stay, and so that's one thing we look for so that we can have friends that are kind of in a similar life situation as us. What we're looking around, what does it look like?
Brianne Tennant. I am Jackson's mom. He goes to Family of Faith Mira Mesa. He's in the preschool class. We have a blended family, so my husband and I each have a son. So my husband Job has a son, Aiden, and he's 18, and Jackson is 5. So we have a good gap between the two. But yeah, that's our family. The atmosphere and what I'm used to and what I grew up with, has obviously constructed what my expectation is out of a church setting.
Sure.
Out of a sanctuary. So with that sort of leading, I would say what I'm used to within a church in a physical space is a very calming, spiritual place. The smell is nice. Sometimes they light incense, or there's candles. There's that type of atmosphere. There's gentle background music, like a piano or an organ or something like that. A welcoming, sort of peaceful looking sanctuary, stained glass windows, different colors, lush landscaping, peaceful, nice walkways, and it looks like a church, right? For example, Jackson loves the music and the children's message. Jackson really enjoys that, doing the children's message and then leading them out. And I think more of again, when I mentioned like the Psalms and the type of music, really do like the music. The Catholic in me isn't as sing-songy as perhaps other Christian churches, but I think the music is a good aspect of it. I don't prefer it to be more of a Christian rock show, but I think maybe a song like that for the kids before they go to children's church is really effective because they get to dance, get some wiggles out, they like it. If it weren't for the preschool, I never would have thought to go to a Lutheran service. So it's really opened up that possibility, and I think that the Lutheran service is a little bit more fit for purpose for our lifestyle and for Jackson, because I think it does, the way that you at least conduct it provides a space for them. That's your Doug.
Thank you so much, Bree. God bless you. Take care.
Hi, my name is Amanda Brown. I have a 5-year-old son, Nolan, who actually went to Family of Faith preschool from the time that he was about 1.5 till he was 4. So we're very familiar with Family of Faith and Pastor Doug and everybody that works there. So welcoming and kind and knowledgeable, and just told me everything about the preschool and everything that would be happening to my son while he was in somebody else's care. All of the teachers were so amazing, and everything was so welcoming visually too in the preschool. I saw the security measures that y'all have. You can't get in unless you push that intercom or you have a key to let you in. That, first off, was amazing, because I need to know that my son is secure while he's not in my watch, because as a parent, it's hard to let your kids go because they're under the best care with you.
And just say hi to Nolan for me, please.
All right. Thank you so much. Y'all take care.
Take care. Thanks, Amber.
What was your surprise there? Anything in there that the modern moms, they were speaking modern, they're native speakers. I was studying, trying to learn what was their language. I was surprised that the smell of our church was important to mom. Didn't have that one, didn't think about that, okay? I was surprised that mom saw our security camera, which is very small. This is a little small detail. I'm suggesting to you, modern moms see everything. They're almost omniscient. They are hyper aware of the environment as they come into it. And to provide this language, it is not enough to have a preschool. The whole ministry needs to learn how, as a whole, to speak the language. So that calls for unity in ministry between church and preschool and the language we're trying to get out there and what is our communication strategy. So we'd like to share just very briefly some examples. This is us visiting in the hospital as a person was bring a little new baby bag. The pastor does that when at all possible. COVID didn't make that very easy, but hopefully it'll become easier. Gathering in prayer in our new space. We had a chapel during the preschool's Mother's Day and making sure we meet all the moms. I'm saying the pastor needs to be in this mix. That being a person who wants to learn the language, people get it. Mom receives pastor who's interested in how they see things much better, and especially very hard for pastor to learn modern mom if they're absent. Very difficult to learn modern mom without being present with modern moms. Trunk or treats, if you're not into dressing up, go see Jeff. Man, he's all about dressing up, and that modern moms like dressing up. They love trunk or treat, and they love doing this with their families. We tried a new thing called Mingle, and we combined it with the Women's Leadership Institute, Darcy Poppy's book on mentorship through Concordia Publishing House. She's really onto something, and that really helps us a lot with learning how to speak about modern mom. What we did is we bought alcoholic drinks for our parents with munchies. We took care of their kids, and then we met each other. And the argument was our school's a better place if the parents know each other. And COVID has interrupted the normal way this happens. So let's mingle. Singing at church, you'll notice on the right side is what our preschool singing in church used to look like. And after speaking Modern Mom for 12 years, we had 275 people, and we had to go into the gym. We're not a large church. Our church has 215 members. That's, someone do the math. That's more people than we have members. We're just a small, humble, little establishment. We're not a mega church like this place where we are here. Being there, again, I can't emphasize it. We heard from Monique Nunez, from Mrs. Moe, a ministry of presence. And if you're not present with the moms as a pastor, you need to be, so that you can learn the language, so you and your preschool and other ministries can all be able to speak the language of the modern mom. This means being at graduation and other activities that have to do with the preschool. If in your mind, look, I got my PhD, I don't have time for little bitty kids, this is just, they don't even know how to do the alphabet yet. This is demeaning. We need to reprogram that thought. We need to address that. Let's talk about that. Let's discuss that, because that's isolating, and you'll never learn Modern Mom that way. You'll definitely need to see that as a point of celebration, just like they do. And of course, if you can get in there and do chapel time, I spend a good hour a week in chapel time services. This is our paintings that we made for our preschool. This is Vivian and our staff. That is a warm welcome if you ask me. I want to go wherever those ladies are. Look at them, they're lovely. We love to say hi to those people. Very nice welcomers. Updated our interior design of our church. New carpet, new things, because we weren't speaking well. We bought land. For us, 1 acre cost $900,000. So we cannot do big ministry where we are because land is crazy expensive. So we could either build a sanctuary or a preschool. We chose to build a preschool, which we worship in as best we can, and that has come to fruition. So the physical space means we're speaking Modern Mom when we build a preschool first. Now we operate 2 locations. Thanks be to God. We have this quote from that book I introduced you to. Another important communication vehicle with this cohort will be technology. These women are used to exchanging ideas with friends and family via instant messaging, email, and camera phones. Word of mouth will be intensified as these moms share ideas even beyond their peers, like their mothers and other senior family members, and that has proved to be true over the last 20 years since the book was written, and we need to learn that. So how do we help that? We did some polling, and this is not the full poll. Go online to check it all out, but we asked about where do you prefer to shop for clothing? The idea here was, does it matter what size the establishment is? My experiment here looked pretty good. It looked like about just as many people like going to a boutique as like going to a big box store. It turned out at the end, though, people really like the big box store. But my argument is that moms are not put off by small ministry. The intimacy is okay by them. It might even be it might be a plus if you're a little more personable and they can talk to the pastor directly and they know who we're praying for and those type of things. We had another poll where we asked moms, when did you really feel like the church communicated? You can see all the answers online, but again, they wanted it targeted to moms or parents. They need it to feel like someone thought of them before they started sending out these messages, and that the message was crafted for their situation in life. Now we'd like to go to the second chunk of material. This is the material on the virtual part. We remember that was the physical part. Now this is the virtual world part. So if again, just breathe, relax. Okay, we're going to take this in, drink this in. Here are native speakers talking about using their native language on the electronic platforms. Please take a listen. Thank you.
Yes, it is a necessity because that is how moms get their information. Children have a fever. What do? When your child has a fever, every single platform is needed, because just because someone uses Facebook doesn't mean that they use Instagram. And then sometimes they don't even use Instagram or Facebook. They're using Snapchat,
Right.
Twitter. Mine are Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, those are your two favorites.
I do think that we need it, actually, even as we've learned through COVID, it's helped us be able to serve our members. That's another way for moms now to be able to connect. All social media platforms are definitely important. For me right now, I can't think of the name.
TikTok?
TikTok,
Okay,
yes.
right, all right.
That's a fun one. Social media can also be sort of dark, so having a good church outlet on social media can be the light in the dark as well.
What do you think, Valerie?
Communication, speaking to them directly, because I know there's so many times where the pastors don't even know them.
What do you think, Vivian?
I think understanding leads to compassion, and I think that when you start to understand moms and their struggles and what they're going through, will really help pastors feel compassion for moms and build a better connection.
Do we really, as a church, need to be online? You know, we've been around for 2,000 years without being online.
Online is important, especially with COVID that we've had in the past couple of years. I think virtually it helps out with even those moms who aren't necessarily afraid, but they have two children that won't sit in the pew, and she wants to have that fulfillment of Jesus Christ in their lives, but she just physically can't because she's by herself, and it's just too chaotic. For example, my daughter's ballet class the other day was virtual. I got to watch virtually, and the fact that they included that, I don't even think they had that when I was in ballet as a child. You know, they didn't think of it, but now with our technology, virtual is sometimes just the only way to go when it comes to those moms who are stuck at work and they can't be there to watch. For myself, personally, I would say every other day is important. And then boosting the posts to make sure that it's seen. Social media prior to website, because honestly, whenever I want to know about a review of a place, I go just to their Facebook page. Every platform is different, like you said. TikTok, you're absolutely right. It's for watching funny cat videos and, funny babies and that kind of thing. I would say Facebook is more interacting with your family and looking up businesses. You're right about Twitter. Twitter is great, but you don't. It really doesn't have the whole aspect of where you can have the pictures and the posts all in one. Same with Instagram. Instagram is specifically pictures. If you put a little bit in, you'll see the progress and results in time.
Oh, I think it's critical to have the church in the virtual world. Some things I've already noticed, you've made some TikToks, which is really cool because that's where people are at right now. I think when you make it funny, people watch it more. I usually watch it. You did one out front of your church that I watched at least 3 times, I would say maybe once a week at least.
So a lighthearted content would be best, and that is a very brief exposure time in a TikTok. It's the opposite of a sermon. It's just fractions of seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds.
I usually look on Facebook and TikTok, and usually you can share your TikToks on Facebook, but other people, will do Twitter or Instagram. The Nextdoor app, that's another thing, having an app to go to look for things like Nextdoor, finding friends in our neighborhood.
Yes, they do. I think even though it may seem misplaced or not part of it, you have to evolve. The people are on social media. And if you're looking to tap into young moms and young families, moms are on social media. There can be, a group for family of faith moms through Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok. Honestly, I think you would want to leverage in any of them. Then you're expanding the reach and you're getting to a more youthful demographic.
Instagram was that initial interaction.
That's where I would probably go. I've made friends online with some of the moms. It's another way to connect, and you can also reach out. Thinking about content, I don't think you want to inundate the platform. I think you want to put content out, and you want to make the connection between learning and faith and family and community, and to let them know, hey, where we're at, where we're going. You can have people comment and say that they're coming. And so you know, oh, that mom's coming. You know, Michael's mom is coming. Okay, maybe I should go. I know her.
I personally go to Facebook a little bit more. I think, circling back to Nolan having leukemia, I have parent support groups for parents with, kids with cancer or exactly leukemia that I really go to for support, and it's vital to my success and my mental stability to go to Facebook and see other people's stories and connect with my peers just for that extra help. The modern mom, we always have, our cell phone, within arm's reach, but we don't necessarily use it as a typical phone. That's our lifeline to social media, to our friends or peers or whoever. Parenthood in general can be isolating. Motherhood can be isolating. So, and even when you're not going through a pandemic, me personally, I maybe get annoyed if there's too many posts from one specific person or outlet, whatever. So I think daily, maybe once a day is good.
Okay.
But the content, I really think a broad mix of things is really where it needs to go. Like I said, sometimes you want to see that lighthearted stuff, but sometimes you need to get down with the nitty-gritty and touch the not so beautiful topics. Marriage, relationships, while having kids, maybe there's two people out there that are struggling with that, but they maybe don't know who to go to, or they're embarrassed to go to somebody. Parents' night out stuff, I think that is great. Offering to take care of our children, because we already know that y'all do so well with that. Maybe a single mom's group where they can meet, every other weekend or one weekend a month and just connect with each other.
Wasn't it great? Notice the great amount of emotional space. Over here, TikTok, just funsies, please. Little smile. I'll watch it 3 or 4 times. Over here, my son has cancer. I'm looking for people to support me as I go for another chemo treatment. That's a lot of space. So we need different tools for different purposes, and don't mock the social media as just goofing off. It's not just goofing off. It's serial, I would call it pastoral care, spiritual care. These people are in need, and they go online. There's, I think, a pyramid of communication where it takes one level of social media to get to another level of social media to get to another level of social media. I think it goes TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, web page. Then maybe you'll get the privilege of meeting them in person. But working through all these levels, that happens before they ever say, hi, I'd like my child to go to preschool here in a face-to-face interaction, or hi, I'd like to hear a word of God in an actual, you hand me the sacrament in person type of situation. So we did take a poll, and that poll said these places were good places to go. There's more information on the website. Please note that there's paper copy of the entire presentation here. The entire presentation is on the website, the WOVA website. Joey has QR codes posted in the front here. You can take a QR code reader and get all the presentations. Joey has, what was it, Joey, 5 hours? Okay, we have 3 hours of this. You just saw and cut down. Thank you, Joey. Let's just thank Joey for that video. Thank you, Joey, very, very much. You did a great, great job. It means a lot. Notice a couple examples of the places people picked out. And this is an example of the kind of stuff Joey, our communication manager, has helped us with. And we are discovering that we need more than just Joey. There's a big job, and we have many, many levels. We need a lot more help in this area so that we can speak Modern Mom. We spoke in Modern Mom, and this is Nolan Brown's family. And here you're seeing them healing. He should be ringing the bell about right now to be healed from leukemia. Thanks be to God. And we're so thrilled. Yes, thank God for that. It is a miracle. We help the family in a lot of ways that you didn't hear about. Online, yes, but also with fundraisers and so forth. Would I say Amanda's a member technically? No. But we're the church where she comes for care. And I think that's a wonderful thing. So if you don't measure that, you don't include that in your count, I'm sorry to hear that. I think that's very valuable, and it should be valued by God's people. Just pointing out people that Speaking Modern Mom has helped. The Caitlin Winkler family. This is very touching to me. The gentleman in the blue shirt in the bottom right-hand corner with the babies getting baptized. He's the papa. He just died from basically COVID pneumonia, and we'll have his funeral in about a week. His family is going to be well cared for, and one of the persons is his daughter, and then the grandchildren as well. And Modern Mom needs to be spoken. We have Wyatt Overitis. His sister here was one of our first students at our preschool 15 years ago, and then they had the younger child, and Michelle, the mom, remembered that she had good communications with the family of faith with her second child, so she came back for her third child. Now she's on staff, her mother-in-law's on staff, and Grace is on staff at our preschool, thanks be to God. So we were learning about talking Modern Mom. We see some success. Ashley Dodd was in our youth group. Then she had this boyfriend. Then they had a lot of children together. We went ahead and baptized the babies. And then this is them being married at a local park where we simply just met at an intersection and had a wedding. And so they are now married with the children, and thanks be to God for that. And this is what it takes, though, to speak Modern Mom. It takes years to develop the conversation, not just seconds on TikTok. This is the Anderson family, the first people through the door, the new building. We open at 6 a.m. They're the first people through the door. They're not from our church home. And they live in a new house right behind our preschool. This is very important, and that's part of speaking Modern Mom. Meg, the mom, was a big part of making that decision. Sanjeev Rayamaji is one of our elders at our church. He's from Nepal. We don't have a lot of Nepali people from Nepal who are Christian, and his family was very much helped because the church speaks Modern Mom. He wants his wife cared for and his daughter cared for. She's not a preschool child. That's why the whole ministry, I believe, if you're in this kind of ministry, it's very important that the whole ministry agrees on the communication strategy, and that Modern Mom is a language that's really important for us to speak. If it's not your primary language, at least a big one. Coleman Sanders has been with us from his birth, his baptism. You notice there's a lot of baptizing going on, and sometimes that becomes a membership, sometimes it doesn't, but people are taking the Modern Mom conversation close enough to go to the sacrament of holy baptism. We look forward to baptizing his brand new baby brother, Casey, and you can see Mom here is here. She's one of those very important first responders that we helped with child care. We never stop providing child care, and our child care providers you're going to meet in just a second. But that's one reason I'm so proud that we were able to serve people like this nurse here through the COVID pandemic without interrupting her services for her child. That took a lot of effort and courage, and I'm thankful for this. Sometimes we have preschool children who come to the font. Sometimes people come to the font and then discover we have a preschool. This is one of those examples, and Josh was our treasurer for a while before they moved up to Idaho. And again, many baptisms in many places with many people. If you see that we're a multicultural church as well as being a multi-generational church, I invite you back to our session tomorrow morning on speaking multiples to multiply, and that you can see the broader context for speaking Modern Mom. It is a process. It is a process, learning how to share the faith. So let's just review this process very simply. Church learns Modern Mom. You have to decide to do that. It has to be conscious. It has to be intentional. If you think you're going to accidentally learn it, I don't think so. If you think you're going to go to Concordia Seminary, either one, and walk out knowing Modern Mom, I don't think so. You're just going to pick it up on the streets. It takes a great intention and focus, and I don't really know that book other than The $1 Million Mom, that type of thing. But once you say, we want to learn this, then this is going to help you decide not only you want to share the gospel, but how you want to present the gospel. Mom feels understood by the church. They're speaking my language, and how it smells, and it's clean, and it's safe, and there's a place for me to nurse, and the bathrooms are clean, and my husband has a place to change the diapers, and even have a car spot for me when I'm pregnant. They get me. They totally get me. When I walk in the building, there's like other moms with other kids. I see them. I befriend them. They like me. We correspond. This is really exciting for her. And then she talks to her husband or her neighbor, and you saw some of those baptismal pictures. Did you see there was a lot of people crowded around the kid? It goes, mom, kid, boom. Somebody said, Doug, it was actually John Brunette, who's a big pastor, a very great church, big church. He says, but it's not exponential. Not yet, John. If we keep speaking Modern Mom, I think you're going to find it's exponential, not just one kid in preschool. But it's going to get bigger, and it's going to go through the way they like to do it, probably online. Mom brings her children to be baptized, and they learn about God. Notice I didn't put membership, per se. And so please be careful on how you measure success, I would just suggest. Now I'm looking for that volunteer that I was asking for. There's really something important here. I want to interview this person just very, very briefly. But if you allow me to do this right now with this microphone right here, you will get, free of charge, this beautiful giraffe bag. I'm looking for a speaker of Modern Mom. All right, come on forward, Modern Mom. Yay, give her a hand. Yay! Here's your bag, I promised. I can send you pictures of the giraffe. It's a really cool giraffe they have there. Lots of cool giraffes. My name's Doug. What was your name?
Amanda Iwabuchi.
Thank you, Amanda. And where do you speak Modern Mom on the face of the earth? Where do you
Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. Is that right?
Yes.
My brother's from there. My dad's from there.
Oh,
That's
nice,
awesome.
nice.
Excellent.
Okay.
All right. You too. Hook Morns.
There you go. Yeah, all of that.
So there's two big chunks of Modern Mom. Let's start with the first one. What do you think with a physical, concrete, tangible, face-to-face interactions, architecture, what's important to you as a Modern Mom speaker, native speaker?
Coming from the church?
Yes, please.
Just being seen.
Okay. Tell me more about that. What do you mean?
Just a lot of what you were talking about, like the convenience of knowing that whenever I come into a place, I don't need to be on guard and watching my children, knowing that it's kind of like a village when I walk in.
You're welcome. They're welcome. You're seen, which means a lot more than this. I have eyeballs on you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a much broader conversation.
Here you go.
And then let's talk about that second chunk, the virtual conversation. Man, we were talking about, I heard mom say, TikTok's for me, and Facebook's for me, and Twitter's for me, and on and on. Which one's your favorite? And then how would you suggest churches go about talking to moms online?
Okay. Mine is personally Instagram. I love just being able to scroll pictures and stuff, and they have the stories at the top. The Midnight Mama, I saw that one on there, and I was like, yeah, that's an easy one. My feed is filled with, like, parenting therapist, Midnight Mama, all of the other types of things that speak about moms and parenting. And so just getting an opportunity to look at those stories. They're like, literally less than 30 seconds, so it doesn't take too much of my time, but it gives me something to either think about or kind of like process throughout the day, or even just my quick prayer time that I get because I have two that are 3 and 5.
Wow,
so, we're busy. Yeah.
Well, let's give her a hand. Thank you so much. You did it. You could just put it on the stand if you would. Fantastic. That was great. QR codes are here. You can scan those. You can get all the information, all the stuff. But we do want to transition because I brought my team with me. I want to introduce them as they come up to the stage, if they would please, at this time. And Joey's going to help me with the mic. This is, coming to the stage right now, the Guido Merkins Award winner from 2020, Ms. Cora Nash. Yay! Joey's going to help us with the mic. Vivian, come on up too, please. And Ms. Cora will visit with you. She's our Director of Preschool Operations. Her name is not just Preschool Director, it's Director of Preschool Operations because we have two locations, and she's our super duper leader there. Just want to introduce the rest of the gang. We also have Vivian Mueller, our Director of Business Operations, right here. Thank you, Vivian. You remember her from the video. So she is a natural speaker, a native speaker of Modern Mom. And then at the end, we have Joey Lazat, who made all the videos. Thank you, Joey. He's our Director of Music Ministry and our Communication Manager. So right now, I just want to invite the team to share some thoughts on either what you saw or additional thoughts on, is it important to learn Modern Mom? How could we do it? Cora?
Okay, sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Cora. Pastor already introduced me, but I had the honor and the privilege of being at the groundbreaking of the location that you saw on the slides. And I think what jumped out to me the most, Pastor, is that also speaking Modern Mom can be a little messy, and you really have to be willing to get in there. And when you see a mom that's having a struggle, to be able to say, can I pray for you, and can I do it right now? And that's really what kind of got me the most when you were presenting, because we've had so many moments like that where you can tell at drop-off, like it's really hard. They had a hard morning. I remember one of my moms, the little boy did not want to put clothes on that day. Okay, I mean, he did not want to put shoes on, nothing. Like, he just came in his underwear. And she's like, here, I got to go, you know? So it's like, okay, so we took him in, we dressed him, we calmed him down, and then being able to call back and say, guess what, he's fine now, it's okay, you did the right thing. You know, just really being able to comfort them, to let mom know it's okay, we all have hard days. And, you know, being able to offer a prayer for that mom right then and there. And it's like that a lot. And through that, connections happen that kind of go on. Like, I have lots of stories where we had baby number 1, and then they had baby 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, and we've been able to serve the mom and that family for years on end.
By speaking Modern Mom, Cora has allowed moms and then the families to trust us with their greatest thing in their whole life, their very heart, is their child.
Yeah.
And this is taking care of children. This is puppets and toys and playgrounds, all very extremely important. But I think that sometimes, sadly, the patrifocal part of our community lowers the status of what is done there in an unfair way, in a way that injures children. Because if you don't hold children with high value, then you don't hold the care of children with a high value. We are a church that believes in pro-life. Thanks be to God. Mm-hmm. We're a church that believes in baptism of babies as well as anyone else. Thanks be to God. And that means there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes tumbling out of that theology. All kinds of consequences, including we will not give up on teaching the gospel to this generation, the Z generation. They will hear the gospel, and we will deliver it to them somehow. And we need mom's cooperation there. Cora, when we do preschool, sometimes we're talking about we need a new fun little toy, but other times the conversations mom brings to us as she gets to know us get kind of serious. Mm-hmm. What kind of topics have you heard mom, she ends up sharing them at church? We heard about Nolan and the leukemia. Is she the only one that has serious issue like that?
No. You're going to hear about marriage issues, that maybe they're having a specific issue at home in their marriage. Maybe you're going to have an issue. We've had issues where there's something developmentally happening with their child, and they know it, and they're just not sure how or what or when to address it. And I'm certainly not a doctor or any kind of a expert in that, but one thing that I will say is when you have a church with a preschool, your team from the director on down needs to be ready to have hard conversations with moms, okay? So I've had to have several of those in the last several years where, okay, and I don't make it on decision on my own, obviously, we go to God first, but getting our team together to say, okay, can we really serve this family the way that this child deserves to be served? And that means maybe we can't, and we have to be able to refer them out, either to the public school system, to more therapy, things like that. So I think moms want us to be honest, and it requires a lot of courage from us to be able to just say the truth in a loving, kind way. And I've had conversations where it goes really well, and I've had conversations where the mom really doesn't like me anymore and she's stepped out. And I have to be okay with that, you know? And I think we as a church have to be okay with that in the name of Jesus for that child.
So we need to be vulnerable, as we heard from the earlier presentation this morning from the leaders at Concordia University Institute, Concordia University Irvine, that vulnerability, that we're with you in this, and it's messy, and we're going to try to work through it, and we don't know why these behaviors are happening. They're going to see a doctor, they're too young for that, and it's just, mom gets very anxious, maybe dad does too, because the child has a whole future in front of them, and they have a mega plan. You know, it's a 20-year plan, and this is not in the plan, so this could be very upsetting. I think that's a very good example. I appreciate that. Another thing that you've shared with me is that we have what we call our alumni. We have our family dance night, and the alumni, meaning someone in second grade could be an alumni, right? They come back, and you have quite an alumni list.
I do.
So how do you use this? You're a native speaker of Modern Mom. How do you use that language to be able to continue to converse even though the child's not registered in our school?
Well, social media for me, too. I'm not like, I think I'm 21-year-old mom. No, I'm 24-year-old mom because
You've
my
been a
oldest
mom
is
for
24 years old.
years.
Yes,
Congratulations.
my youngest is 21. But probably social media, it's innate for me to stay connected with the parents that I have served throughout the years. So it's super cool for me to be able to see a 10-year-old, and I remember when they were in my 2-year-old class. That's really neat. And so I feel like that's a big honor. And so for me, it comes natural. I like to stay in contact with people and stay connected. And I would say that I think I have hired some of those moms. I think that 2 of them were in that video.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
but that's just what I do. And but as a church, I think at Family of Faith, that's one thing I think we stay connected really well with people. It's not just me. Social media is a big one, and then texting and just thinking of people. I'm a big journaler, so I always write prayers out, and I remember people, and then I keep in contact with them. So
that's a very important thing, that they're heard, and they're not just heard because you registered. I'm not just interested in you because you're giving us tuition money. There's a bigger conversation to be had, and so this is part of the Modern Mom and could flow into a conversation where we talk about the faith. It may take a while for that to brew, to come to fruition, or as was said by Monique this morning, the seed is still in the ground. Could we share the mic with Vivian?
Yes.
May we do that as well? This is our, thank you so much, Cora, really appreciate it. If you didn't know, the Guido Merkins Award is an award given at this event. And if those who've been here a long time, Guido Merkins was a leader at Concordia in San Antonio for a long time, and they give an award once a year to an outstanding entrepreneurial type leader. And Ms. Cora was your winner in 2020. So again, congratulations. She's never been here before, so when we handed her the trophy in this picture, she had like, what is that? And I said, it's a big deal. He's like, okay. She smiled nice for the picture. And now she finally gets to see what we were talking about. Our friend Vivian, thanks for coming to the mic. Vivian, we saw your video, so you had some input here, but you have 2 children in our care. You're a new member of our church. Do you think that we're speaking Modern Mom okay? Or what could we do better to speak Modern Mom as a church and preschool as a combined ministry?
Well, I think, is this,
Yep,
okay.
on, there you go.
I'm not used to speaking.
That's okay, you're doing great.
But I think that you're doing a great job. Thank you for trying to speak my native language, by the way. I think doing exactly what you're doing by trying to teach our members how to communicate with moms, like simply holding the door open for them when we come in with a car seat and a 2-year-old or whatever it might be, and just welcoming us, or even saying hi to our children, like Miss Emily had said in her video. Even though my sons are very shy, I appreciate it that people say, oh, hi, how are you doing today? Even though he hides behind my legs, it's the thought that counts.
Like our friend here, she said she wanted to be seen. It also counts for the children.
Yeah.
That the whole group of everybody, it can't just be mom or dad or the kids. No one can be invisible. So that's really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So with yourself, what do you find on the virtual side of things has been effective, and where could we do better?
I think being able to watch our service online is really nice. When I can't make it in, I like to just put it on my phone and shoot it up to my TV, so it's like I'm really there. And I think what we could do better at is just more content and getting the word out more.
We need to increase the number of posts.
Yes.
We heard in the interviews, a post per week is just not going to work. A post every other day may work at that rate, but then across 4 or 5 different platforms, so there's a vigor and a flow and a production that's more than we've been doing. So we have some room to grow on that, no question. Do you find that you go to social media for serious mom questions? And I don't want you to say anything that you don't feel comfortable saying, but we heard Amanda, she actually went online and said, at one time, my son's not sleeping. He has leukemia and everything, but it doesn't mean he normally, I can't get him to sleep. Or another time she went on, I can't get him to eat anything. He's a picky eater and he's got cancer and he needs to eat. And I'm a nurse, but I'm not going to force feed him. And she went online with those questions. Do you ever do something like that?
Yeah, actually, I have, and so has my husband. When we brought our first son home, you're delirious, sleep deprived, and he didn't want to wake me up because I was asleep, but he Googled, if infants can't drink water, then why do you mix formula with water? Am I going to kill my son?
Yeah, but you don't know, you're new,
yeah,
so scared of everything.
We've looked up, how much Tylenol can you give, a child, or just any. It seems small, but yes, or how to help a picky eater is a big one, or even feeding schedules.
All these things that social media, it's not just a TikTok little funny dance. It is that, but it also can get right into the nitty-gritty. Monique Nunez was saying, boots on the ground is how she put it, that right in life, right where life happens, that's where the church needs to be, not in some kind of ivory tower. We need to be right there. And if it's how do we get a little child to eat the vegetables, then the church needs to be willing to have that conversation and say, I don't have a Bible passage on that one or something. No, we need to engage the conversation and not skirt around it. So I just want to ask a couple more questions about your situation, if you don't mind. Two things. One, so if I remember correctly, your husband's in the oil business, meaning he gets in a helicopter and he flies out into the Gulf of Mexico where he lands on a little piece of metal called an oil rig, and he stays out there for a while. So you are a married woman with children, yet sometimes a single mom in function. So it's kind of windshield wiper, right? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. So do you find speaking modern mom, is that important that you have peers around you then to help as your husband is sometimes not able to be your right-hand man?
Yeah, it does help a lot. Just having a sense of community, like our, church members, or if, I'm struggling and my husband's gone for 2 weeks at a time. So he's home for 2 weeks and then he leaves for 2. So usually towards the end, I'm pretty tired. And, it's nice to have a sense of community, or just, hey, let's pray together. And my husband was offshore when my youngest got COVID, and when I told Pastor, the first thing he thought of was, let's pray. Let me say a prayer for you instead of, oh my God, COVID. It just means so much to have a sense of community when he is gone.
The other part of it was that, if I remember correctly, you're really not from Houston, and mom is not in Houston. So when you're having your first child or children, and mom's not living next to you, does that mean that your online community becomes, again, more important to you because you wake up and you have this, but you don't have mom next door? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, just being able to. My mom is on Facebook, and, she loves seeing photos of my sons on Facebook. I usually don't try to post too much of them, but I do post for my family to be able to see them. And yes, and it does help. When I first was here alone, a new mom, it was nice to go on those Facebook groups and find other moms going through the same thing.
Beautiful. Could we hand the mic to Joey, and let's thank our friend Vivian. That was beautiful. Thank you. Just so you know, you did a great job. Vivian's not used to speaking in front of people, and she did terrific.
Thank you, Cora and Vivian. Hello.
Hey, Joey, you put the videos together, and you said there were 3 hours of videos. So you've got to swim deeply in the research on communicating with the modern mom. And we're noticing that you're not a modern mom, and yet you are manager of communications. So how do you find your way to discipline yourself where we're speaking mom's language instead of Joey's language?
A lot of listening. I have a beautiful wife, Nikki, and she's a mom, and she's a modern mom. And by the way, I have 6 children, so I understand what it means to be a modern dad, right? So listening to the moms and meeting them where they're at, I got to go through the footage quite a bit, and I feel like I have a really good idea of where they're going and where they're at and what they need. And as the church and as the mission of the Family of Faith with Pastor Doug, which he does speak this, he has more meetings with modern moms and children than anyone I know on a weekly basis, and he shows up every time, and that means a lot to our preschool staff and the kids, and then in turn the children's parents, and it all trickles down, and it is a boots on the ground operation. It takes showing up every day and having that support around you in times when you are weak, and having that stop, hey, let's pray right now, and doing that for each other as a staff, and also doing that an example to our preschool families and church families as well. And the goal is to get the preschool families into the church worship on Sunday mornings so that it's one big cycle of a community that continues to grow, and it pours into each other in a very healthy way. And I think we're headed that way in what we're trying to do and what you've learned and shared with us today.
We're all learners here. I'll never be a native speaker of modern mom. I don't have that calling on my life. That is not my vocation. I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, but not a modern mom. I'll never be a modern mom. No pastor in the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod will ever speak this language as a native speaker. That is, I think, a real deficit that we need to work on very purposefully to overcome, so that we speak to the mothers who are always been critical, but are so critical in these days. And Joey's helping us do that. Tell us a little bit about that first couple TikToks. We heard Amber Robbins talking about TikTok.
Yeah, so the one she's talking about is so we started a TikTok for the church, and it was kind of to kick off our 30th anniversary. So you can find us on TikTok at Family of Faith 30. So follow our page, help us out, love our videos, and you can follow what we're doing with TikTok. But the first video we did was I shot you outside with an umbrella or something like that. And we're doing Noah's Ark, the story of Noah. And we're out by, it looks like a fountain, but it's not. It's a big cross we have in the front of our church. And so I just went out there, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I had just watched a bunch of funny TikToks, and it was kind of in my head. And like, okay, here we go. We're doing this.
Very lighthearted.
Yes.
It was on a repeat cycle.
Yeah.
And it's just a smiley wave, a hello.
Well, I added rain coming down, and then I added a goofy umbrella over the regular umbrella, and I added some little emojis, and that's kind of what moms like. I don't know, the kind of those kind of TikToks.
Level, and the entrance level to our church is, at least where we are, is not the front door. They used to talk about threshold anxiety and people who are fear to come in through the front door. Now the front door is virtual, and it's several levels virtual deep. So again, I think the TikTok, the fun, lighthearted stuff, you took the people that were around, and we found modern moms who would allow us to do a TikTok, and he did some with other modern moms. I think maybe Vivian was in on that, Valerie was in on that. Then we kind of move up people to the Instagram, which has maybe a little more content. Then if they want to know something, go to our Facebook. Joey, before you leave the mic, could you tell us what's going on here with the QR codes, and what have you done so that we can get access to all your great research video?
Okay, so you'll see all of the slides for this session are here, and there's a title at the bottom of each QR code. If you just take your camera on your phone, just your regular camera, and just hold it up, there's a link that will give you all of the slides for Pastor Doug's presentation today, and that will take you to our website, tfof.org. There's also a QR code to the YouTube links of the two interviews that you guys saw. One's on this side, and the other is on this side. And then also the Vroom commercial. There's a QR code for the YouTube link if you want to watch that, to kind of remind yourself of being intentional about what Pastor Doug here has shared with us today.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but you had all 3 hours on the YouTube, right?
There,
Do we
yeah,
have
if
a
you go
YouTube
to our,
channel that people can go to?
yeah, the Family of Faith Lutheran Church, and when you go to any one of these two videos, it'll take you to our channel. There's another video in the playlist called BPM 2022, and it's an hour and a half long. It's an initial edit of the full interviews with Pastor Doug and the 6 ladies, the modern moms that we saw.
So we made it all available to you as
So,
best we could. We
it's
don't
an hour and
know
a
a whole
half.
bunch of additional researches, but thank you so much. Is
You're welcome.
the developmental child development, faith development, is that on there too from the preschool training? Do we have that on the YouTube?
Not yet, but I can work on that for you.
So we have another presentation that talked about the importance of faith and how faith is a supernatural gift from God given to children, and that it is something that has given as a whole and that they become more and more aware of until they go to heaven. But understanding what faith development looks like is often absent from the secular educators who are trained in secular institutions. They don't have that access to what a faith is and how it grows. All kinds of great information about kinesthetic, and also cognitive and emotional development, but sadly they have a vacuum when it comes to faith development, and they may accidentally skip it because they don't know. They don't know that's a thing. So we'll put that on the YouTube as well. We have a panel here. We have a few more minutes. I know we're really spread out. First of all, thank you for coming to our session. We've never done anything like this before, and this is a big deal for us. Our whole church could fit in, our whole campus could fit in this gym. We're not a big church. We're very humble, a humble place. But if we could help you in any way as you try to learn this language, is there anyone who would like to offer a question to any of the persons on the panel here? Anyone, any way we could answer a question or concern before we leave the room? I would like to have a closing word of prayer as well. Anybody? Ma'am. Mom Unique Playgroups. I'm just going to repeat it so that everyone can hear it. Mom Unique Playgroups. Mommy and Me Playgroups. Thank you. Or hookups. Yes, please.
So I'm not sure what you're specifically asking. Like, do we host one? Is it okay? So we don't host one, but I have made contact with ones in our area, and so a lot of times the moms that are in the MOPS groups are looking for Mother's Day Out programs, and because the school that they're at maybe doesn't run it. So this is all fresh because I just made a contact with a mom that runs a MOPS group at Copperfield Church, and so they're looking for one. They're looking for Mother's Day Out programs that run year-round, and we do. So met with her, and there's several in the area. So we don't host one yet, but I think that's something that we have the space for. We also want to start inviting, and we have invited community to our Parents' Nights Out that were sponsored through a realtor. So like connected with a realtor, the realtor wanted to offer Parents' Nights Out for their clients. And we said, sure, we'll do it, except can we invite our families? And so she said yes. And so that helped because then that kind of put our name out there. So no, we didn't charge for them. They were at no cost. They were sponsored by the realtor. So I think that's something that any church should connect with because realtors want to get out there, and especially right now, they definitely want to meet new communities. So, yeah.
So it wasn't a charge for like registration. The workers did get paid, and the persons who were watching the children got paid, but not by our tuition dollars, but by the donation from the realtor. Yeah. And then we co-sponsored a mingle down the street at a bar called Local Bar. That's the name of the bar. And we did this 3 times, one of those times in conjunction with a workshop that was with Darcy Poppy and her mentoring approach. With the Women's Leadership Institute at Concordia University, Wisconsin, has developed a lot of great resources for Speaking Modern Mom, and I think the mentoring label, you could take that off and put on Speaking Modern Mom, and it would be accurate. So Darcy's a great resource. We're just beginning that relationship with her. She came and led a wonderful retreat for us, and we had that mingle around that, and then around this other part too. But it takes some creativity. It's a great question, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Cora, for answering that too. Any other great, I put up here some ways that you can learn how to speak Modern Mom. There's the Center for Women's Business Research. So I know that we started with selling cars, And if you are like the guys that are in the dealership, let me put it as blatantly as I can. If pastors in the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod are like the men in the car dealership, then we have some repenting to do. We need to repent and humbly come to serve where God has called. And if we need to learn to speak modern mom, then it's just as valid as the call to learn to speak Greek or Hebrew or Spanish or any other foreign language to get to the indigenous people. So where I was in Michigan for a long time, there was some people in Michigan that came to Michigan from Germany to reach out to native-speaking indigenous people. And if you go to the museum that explains this, you can see the Bible that they tried to teach the Indians how to read German. And they could not understand why they were not being successful in their mission efforts. And this went on for a long time. Finally, someone had a great idea. They said, what if we learn their language? It's been I think I heard 175 years. Is that what we're celebrating now as a synod? And have we learned this language? Speaking modern mom, speaking mom. I think we have in some ways. We had a very powerful, the largest Protestant school system in America. That's pretty good. That's good. But do we see it as a package, that it all goes together? Or do we bifurcate the church and say the ladies go over there and the men go over there? There used to be, I remember in another church, we celebrated our 125th anniversary. This again was in Michigan. And we wanted to do it like they did in the old days. And so the men were going to sit on this area and the women on this area. And people dressed up in the old-fashioned costumes, and we had our old-fashioned preaching on. But then the couple said, no, we're not going to do this bifurcated sanctuary. No. And that was fine. It was just, we're just celebrating. And they said, we can't celebrate like that. Well, thanks be to God that that's how they felt. And nor can we have a bifurcated church when it comes to communicating. We need to be able to have a communication strategy that's built around a unified ministry that communicates a unified gospel in order that we can leverage all the tools that we have to bring as many people to salvation as possible. I would invite you. There's lots of great groups. And they put us in this big, huge room, which, wow. But we'll be here again tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about multiples to multiply. One of the multiples, again, is multi-generational. And I think that the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, I've never been anything but, they get this pretty much. It's something we're on. Well, what about multicultural? What about for men and for women, right? The heaven that Jesus paid for with his blood on the cross is for men and for women. They're not two heavens. Jesus' blood shed on the cross was shed there for everybody. Everybody. And we cannot divvy up the redemption that Christ gave us. It unifies us, and we must celebrate that unity and refuse to have our church divvied up into a bunch of pieces, either by gender or by economics. So if you'd like to come join us again, you could see the larger context for today's conversation. This was, yes, mom, but what mom does for us, speaking modern mom, it opens us to being multicultural. There are 125 languages spoken in our school system, our public school system where we are. It's exceptionally diverse. And we cannot speak all the languages that are spoken. But modern mom is one that seems to translate, whether the families come from Ghana or Liberia or Tanzania or some Central American country or South American country. And we've seen all those things in our little teeny church. So you're welcome. Any other comments before we close in prayer? Any other questions? This is the paper version. Here are the online versions. I put literature out on the places where you could put documents. The PowerPoints are also on the WOVA app for this session. We were going to do the best we can. Our webpage is www.tfof.org, meaning thefamilyoffaith.org. You put in either way to work. Anything else? You are so kind to come here. I hope that you were inspired to try to learn how to speak modern mom yourself. If you could help us learn, we're learners. We don't have it all down, I can tell you that. I'll never have a mastery of it, and we would very much appreciate you helping us. I think that we have a wonderful church as a denomination. I think you have so many tremendous resources. And yet, the communities that we serve might be changing in the language they're speaking, and we might not be seeing it. Because it's not a linguistic language, it's a social language. And so that's something that no one ever introduced me to. It's just after serving in churches with preschools for 28 years continuously, it occurred to me. Maybe this is the language God's teaching me. So with that, let's have a word of prayer. Thank you so much. Dear Lord in heaven, we're just your humble servants. We have so many things we need to learn, so many people that we need to reach. And we only have so much resource, so much time, so much energy. Sometimes it's overwhelming, especially during COVID. Lord, help us to see that there are new generations of people that need to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ, and they may go about their way of communicating differently. It's not the first time the church has heard this. Lord, the value, the import for the gospel of Jesus Christ of motherhood, it's not new to the church. Lord, you teach us in the scripture that the Virgin Mary is the Theotokos. She's the mother of God. Lord, we thank you for her example, and we ask that we would learn through her. But Lord, help us not to stop at the Virgin Mary's example of being a mom. Help us to continue to apply such examples in language, not just in our stained glass, but in our online presence, in our face-to-face communications, the way we design our buildings, the way we interact, so that mom, the children, the dad, the community, the family would receive the washing in the water of the word in holy baptism, receive the holy word, and have the joy of that one unified heaven awaiting them. Lord, we pray that you'd be with us as we go about our various ministries and give us safe travels as we go about our travels to and from this conference. We thank you for this gathering, and in Jesus' name we pray it. Amen. Thank you so much. Take care, and God bless.